Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Robert Jarsinski. Across from me is my wife, Carrie Jarsinski. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I have all my limbs intact.
After your explosive day yesterday?
Yeah, we decided to, well, you were kind of against it, but we decided to procure our own fireworks here in Wisconsin. It is legal to buy fireworks. I had to go into the penal code. I did say penal. Penal code and check the details of that. Apparently you can purchase anything you want fireworks related in Wisconsin.
But are you actually allowed to light them off?
You can, so in Wisconsin...
I feel like you played me on that because you're like, they're all totally legal. And then when we got home and there were cops and you were hiding in the bushes, I was like, why are you hiding? You're like, well, they're not totally legal.
So there were no cops that came by. They were sweeping.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing some drive-bys.
And you did hide in the bush.
I did run into the bushes, which probably gave it away. But no, in Wisconsin, it is legal to buy any type of firework. You can buy any type of firework, but you're not allowed to shoot any type of firework that goes into the air. You're not allowed to.
So most
use
fireworks.
So the majority of the ones that I purchased, and there was a massive one, 18 inches by 18 inches by 18 inch that we saved as our finale. Was it worth it?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Actually, and I had already weighed in my mind at that point, like the weight of you going to jail or something, and that felt worth it too.
You ended up being so scared that you actually went over into our neighbor Leaf and Emily's yard, and that's where you watched me light it.
So caveat to that,
no one wanted to be there with me.
Full disclaimer on this, I blew up my foot as a child with a firework, and
True
so I was
story.
like, I'm a little skittish around them sometimes here and there. And so the fact that you were judging me because I decided to get a little distance,
Your mom and dad joined us as well, and they hid within our house. They went actually inside the house.
I think this actually should speak more to our level of confidence in your ability to deploy the fireworks.
So let's go over my safety protocol though. So I had made a nice launch pad where I purchased some plywood.
Yeah.
I put some cement bricks surrounding it, some sand
taken from our landscaping.
Landscaping. Actually, it holds our septic tank in place.
Okay, too much information. All right.
But did that, had a bucket full of water for damping things, and then I had a hose, which I ran to
I feel like
regularly.
In the event, though, that the massive firework that you let off, probably 20 feet from our house, had that actually gone aflame on our roof, I don't know what your little dink hose would have done.
The hose would have been useless.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was actually very nervous once we set off the commercial grade firework,
right.
and
you didn't burn our house down.
I didn't burn our house down. But yeah, it was a good 4th. I hope all of our listeners had a good 4th as well. I think the animosity that I'm feeling from the other side of the table right now, it's a little uncomfortable, and I understand why. It's with all the Team Rob stuff that I keep getting. Kelly Barnes is posting love for Team Rob. I feel like Team Rob the last few weeks we haven't heard anything from Team Carrie. So it feels like my picks are you going to bring it home today as we discuss top low budget movies?
I think if anybody should know low budget best, it would be
That's
me.
true. You are Miss Frugal. So that's
not frugal. It's careful spending. It has to have a high ROI.
Return on investment, and that is your wheelhouse.
It is. So these in this case do have a ROI. You'll see.
And I'll have a confession a little bit later on that I'm nervous sharing with you, with our listeners, that might just render alternate ending pointless after this. So we'll definitely get to that. But before that, anything else you want to share before we jump into top 3 worth mentioning?
No, I think I just want to get there.
All right. Well, top 3 worth mentioning up next. So what is the top 3 worth mentioning of the movies we've seen in the last few weeks? We talk about the ones that we want to talk about the most. They could be great movies. They could be terrible. We share them with you worst to first. We might even decide to hold a few back just in case we plan to wreck it to the other person. So how many movies have you seen since the last time we recorded?
Not a ton.
Yeah.
5.
I'm at 6, so not a whole lot better.
Oh, really? So they're all going to be the same. In different orders and different reviews of them, probably.
One of mine is one that you did not see. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm interested. So yeah, I assume. Ooh, but still, there's.
I know you did one that I didn't do, so it's fine.
Oh.
I know how you roll.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see. All right. What's number 3 for you?
Number 3 is The Captive.
Really?
What do you mean?
Oh my goodness.
Is it high or not on your list?
I threw it away.
Well, no, so that's fine. Okay, by definition of what you were talking about, you said it could be like the worst.
Correct.
What to see, what not to see.
You just want to talk about it. Okay, so please, let's talk about it.
Recommend not seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well done.
I'm glad we agree there. Again, one of those scenarios which we've mentioned before where we actually watch these and then just flick it off. The lights go off immediately and then it's silence, and so no one really talks about it. And so after this, I wanted to be like, this was terrible, but I couldn't say anything. So long story short, was promising to me because it had Ryan Reynolds in it. So I was like, this will probably be fine. It was a disappearance movie. So Ryan Reynolds' daughter disappears early on in the movie. First 15 minutes disappears in the movie. And it's a story 8 years later of recovering her, trying to find her. They go 8 years and he and his wife go on this plan or whatever. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, it's a good premise. It's a good premise. It's a lot like The Vanishing. Did we see The Vanishing together with Beau Bridges and Kiefer Sutherland?
No.
Sandra Bullock? Nothing?
No, maybe, but no.
Okay.
It had a lot of loose plot points. It didn't build to much. They didn't build any tension really.
I fault the director 100% in this because it was his choice, or perhaps the novel or the screenplay this is based on is out of sequence. And normally that's not hard to follow if the direction is done well.
Oh yeah, weren't we really confused in the beginning? Time sequences were really weird. Like
everything was out of
present
order.
And then it went midway, like 3 years, and then it went back.
It jumped back and forth
and
without
had no
any
context.
type of direction to the audience. And I think we're somewhat savvy viewers, and like we could follow a basic movie that even jumps around a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah.
But no one seemed to age. Like there were no cues for the viewer to know anything was going on.
I think the car, like sometimes like a car age cue, like, it's an 82,
and
whatever.
I felt bad because people were acting. People were acting really hard. Ryan was acting, right?
I know.
Some tears and everything.
There was a tear.
It
didn't do it for me. I'd skip it. I think
I would just skip it. If the subject matter, again, it's an interesting topic, but it's just skip it. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
All right, what's your number 3?
Number 3 on my list, which is kind of surprising because I feel like it's highly rated. I put Foxcatcher as my number 3. Is that anywhere on your list?
It's my 2.
Okay. All right. Well, we can both talk a little bit about the 2014 movie Foxcatcher. 2 hours, 14 minutes, IMDb 7.0, Rotten Tomatoes 89%. All you need to know about it, starring Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, based on a true story of Mark and Dave Schultz, U.S. Olympic champions. They were brothers, a really incredible kind of brother wrestling team. They didn't wrestle together.
Good
they
casting.
were just, great casting.
That was where it ended for me.
That's where it ended for you?
Yeah.
But the story follows this team other countries that support Olympics, they throw a ton of support and money and resources at these Olympians. In the U.S., we don't really do that, minus if you can't get a sneaker sponsor or Under Armour sponsor, you're pretty much on your own.
So it's basically, though, the guy the main Channing Tatum, whoever he plays, Mark
Schultz,
Mark, he is an Olympic athlete scraping by, eating ramen, has nothing, and that's like you said, it's sad.
And this billionaire, multi-billionaire, Johnny DuPont, I guess he's kind of maybe super creepy. Steve Carell playing his best creep.
So again, acting wise,
great movie.
Acting fine. Storyline,
it's just too long.
And
it was just too long. Great acting. Mark Ruffalo, amazing as always. Steve Carell. I forgot it was him.
People would enjoy it though.
I don't think it's
an enjoyable movie. There's nothing to enjoy about it.
There's no need for me to see it again. I have no interest.
And it's dark, but it's one of those things like sometimes dark movies can leave you with something. This left me with nothing other than
probably the best acting
sadness.
I've seen from Channing Tatum. Would you agree?
I mean, I saw another movie that was pretty good he was in. No.
Were you trying to allude to Magic Mike, which you haven't seen?
Well, it's really good that you caught on to that. That's really good.
I've seen one of the two.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Did we watch one together?
I mean, we didn't watch it together, but yeah.
So a couple interesting things. He really got into his acting.
He was pretty good. Yeah.
Scene where he breaks
a lot of character
mirror.
Transformation too.
He actually did that. Yeah, character transformation. Mark Ruffalo gained 30 pounds for his role. It's not streaming. That's another reason why it falls. You have to send away for it. But
don't recommend this movie.
You know what? Go catch a documentary about it. It might be just as good.
Agreed.
The movie is good, but just one time sitting, I can't see it again.
Yeah, don't do it.
Number 2 for you.
Was Foxcatcher.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll go, and you already did number 3. So
do I go on my 1?
No, I'll go number 2.
Oh, you go number 2.
Movie you did not see, so I'm comfortable talking about it. It's The Program. 2015.
Never heard of it. Tell me about it.
I will. Hour 43 minutes of the program. IMDb gives it a 6.5. Rotten Tomatoes 57%. Low on both. I'm not really sure why. Written by David Walsh, directed by Stephen Frears, who directed High Fidelity and Dirty Pretty Things, amongst others. Stars Ben Foster as Lance Armstrong. And Chris O'Dowd as the journalist David Walsh, who wrote this the book the movie is based on. It's an Irish sports journalist becomes convinced that Lance Armstrong's performance during the Tour de France victories are fueled by banned substances. We grew up in the Lance Armstrong era, the Live Strong brand, the whole thing.
The bracelets.
I mean,
Did you have a bracelet?
I was into it. Jason Stewart, listener of the show, huge.
Did you have a bracelet?
I did not own a bracelet. Jason Stewart had a bracelet. Big into. I mean, everybody was. Were you caught up in the Lance Armstrong thing?
I wasn't.
You weren't watching the Tour de France's?
No.
I mean, he was an incredible athlete.
Was really, yeah.
But he was also an incredible doper. I mean, just did it.
What bothers me about that is because he gets caught with something. I don't want to really get into this topic, but so many other people in sports.
And especially in the
scenario.
Tour, especially in the Tour de
France. He
France.
still did amazing things. I could dope a lot, and I swear I still couldn't ride that fast.
Where Lance Armstrong is in your mind and your heart, he's still a good guy, or still.
I mean, I don't want to go there, but
I don't. I think what a lot of people have the problem with is his lack of willing to come forward and willing to destroy people's lives to keep his secret.
Part of it is, that's probably
safe.
part of it is that I know very little about the story, just more that. Yeah.
But the way it was, we're all caught up in it. We were all believing this obvious lie that probably should have been. I mean, the movie is really good.
I would like it.
I think you would be interested in knowing a little bit more behind the scenes of what Lance Armstrong was doing.
Does it make you like him or dislike it? Does it favor one side of the story?
I think I dislike him as much as I dislike him now, but it gave me more to think about and gave me an appreciation, if you will, of how good he was at doping and keeping it a secret, because that's impressive. What he was doing there, he is a very regimented, competitive person, and he took that mentality and applied it to doping. He would have been the best had it not been for doping, but everybody else was doping, so his mentality was
it's hard. It's hard. You have to level set.
It also deals with his cancer survival and how he came back from that. That alone, to get to where he was, even with the doping, is it's pretty incredible.
So I should watch it, or people should watch it?
I think you should. And it's streaming on Amazon, which is, again, gives me a little bit of extra
Amazon
push
Prime, though?
Amazon Prime. It stars Ben. I need to talk about Ben Foster a little bit.
I can't picture his face. What else is he in?
He's been in lots of stuff. He was in my rec, actually, 11-14. He was in The Messenger. He's been in a ton of things.
Does he have curly hair?
No, he's typically usually very close to the head shaven.
But is
Ben
it curly,
Foster,
like if it were to grow out?
I haven't
You're not certain?
Kind of thought that through.
Was he in that show with Carrie Russell?
Are we going to keep going through movies until we find one that Ben Foster's in? Because we will not get there.
I could look him up. I'm going to look him up while you keep talking about this.
It was in The Messenger, Hostage, other great movies. The Mechanic. No, he's incredible, and he's an actor who really takes it seriously too. So he actually took performance-enhancing drugs, the same ones that Lance Armstrong did, to prepare himself for the role, because he found himself not feeling convincing enough in the role of Lance Armstrong, and he loses himself in the role. I mean, he looks like Lance Armstrong. The body type, everything is great. So that was my number 2. So I'm hoping we line up here for our number 1.
Is your number 1 a cartoon?
It is not a cartoon.
Oh, what?
Yeah, well,
You know what? Sad state of affairs for you.
It is, and it's not. But I chose to talk about something
Ben
different.
Foster. Yep.
You got him?
Who he is. Yep. So anyway, I picked a cartoon for my number 1, mostly because I wasn't a huge fan of the other 2 options, and I was a big fan of this one, and this is Finding Dory.
Interesting. Well, we'll get there, too. Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
This was Finding Dory. Watched this in theaters. Good experience there. Took Alice, our second daughter.
Oh, that's right.
She
was so quiet, I forgot we took her.
I know. I had a lot of popcorn.
18-month-old. Yeah.
I don't think you want to share that. It's kind of probably early for her to be going into the theaters, but she's almost 2. She's practically 2, and she likes popcorn. So we actually sat there with just a large popcorn really in front of her. It
was a Father's Day treat, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We actually took our neighbor Leif Erikson and his kids as well, and his brother as well too. So
we did. And Finding Dory, if you haven't seen it, it's the backstory of Finding Nemo and Dory, and where she came from, how she's, in Finding Nemo that she's lost and that she kind of has lack of memory. And so that she's looking for her family, or she doesn't really know what she's looking for. She has this short-term memory loss. So this is the backstory of Dory's life as to how she was lost, where her parents were, where she came from. It was
Any tears on your side? Did you tear up there at the towards the end?
I don't know.
I got misty.
I got a little misty, I think.
Yeah.
I think I did.
And it does a good job.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
At the end with the shells.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The shells were, yeah, that was good.
So I did tear. Now I think about it, I did.
Doesn't it address mental illness in a very sweet way? I don't want to say it's a sweet way, but they very, like, in a way that only Pixar can seem to bring, like, Inside Out, like bringing, inside
Is it
people's
mental
emotion.
illness, memory loss? Is that mental illness? I don't really know.
I don't know. Well, whatever, yeah.
So,
it's a mental disease.
But it tells you her story, and it tells you how she got there, and it was just what Pixar does with being a heartwarming, kid-friendly, like laugh for adults, laugh for kids type movie. All of our kids loved it.
It wasn't as good as Finding Nemo to me because it's more of a great thing, but it's hard to surpass to me what Finding Nemo was the first time.
It's always hard to surpass it original, but I think if you're trying to keep a really close second, this made sense because that was actually a missing piece from Finding Nemo. It was like, how did she get here? Like it solved for some of the questions from Finding Nemo in, I thought, a very smart way. So
the octopus really stole a lot of scenes for me. So look for that.
The ink tutor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Septipod?
Yeah.
It's not an octopod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I thought it was a great
No,
I think every parent, kids 2 and up, would be fine with this movie. I think it was good.
Yeah, age appropriate.
Appropriate.
Not for Alice, but yeah,
she was
nothing
fine.
Scary.
She laughed. Yeah. It was good.
It was good stuff. No, my number one, I chose to go a different path, and I'm interested to see. You said the other ones weren't worthy. I had Eddie the Eagle.
I knew you were going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I knew it would
So you didn't
tug
enjoy
at
it?
your nerd heartstrings.
Here's the deal. It probably doesn't belong up this high from worst to first if we're saying that. It's just I was really in the mood for something a little happy. I feel like we've been watching a lot of depressing movies or just kind of serious movies, and I think when we were selecting this, I was like, you know what? I just wanted to go. I've heard good things about this kind of being like a Cool Runnings kind of a movie.
Yeah.
And I
liked
wanted
Cool Runnings
I
better.
wanted that. I wanted to feel inspired and happy. So Eddie the Eagle 2016 it came out this year, hour 46 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.5. Rotten Tomatoes 80%.
Interesting.
Directed by Dexter Fletcher. I thought it was directed by Matthew Vaughn, which confused me when I looked this up. It's because he's a disciple of Matthew Vaughn, who directed Kick-Ass and The Kingsman, and Dexter Fletcher was an actor in those movies, starring Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman, really the only two main stars. The parents also kind of play a role in this too, but yeah, Eddie the Eagle, great movie. It's a true story, based on a true story of Eddie Edwards, the notoriously tenacious British underdog ski jumper who charmed the world at the 1988 Winter Olympics. Basically, this guy has no place being in the Olympics, and he continues to try. He's not skilled necessarily, but his perseverance. It's a little bit like Rudy meets Cool Runnings is kind of how I would combine the movies.
Okay.
Would you? I mean, you didn't like it?
I just wasn't. I don't think I was in the mood for it.
Oh,
like,
you weren't
I wasn't in a.
mood to feel inspired and
no,
happy.
I think I was in like I was probably
inspiring?
like in a grim, sad gore movie kind of mood. No, I don't know why. It felt just kind of. It dragged for me. It was just kind of like, okay, I don't know. The whole thing was a little bit slow. It felt really long. What did you say the runtime was?
Hour 46.
It felt that. It felt much longer than that, and it just felt repetitive. I mean, obviously, like he goes down the slope, and then it's like he falls, and then he doesn't fall.
What resonated for me was his glass. I had those same pair of glasses.
Let's
growing up.
get to the meat of this. What resonated is you feel like Eddie.
I do feel like Eddie.
I know you do.
Of course, we all want to identify with somebody, and we've
I'm
all
not Eddie.
had to persevere.
No, I'd be like, that is a big hill.
You were
I
the
am
Swedish.
stepping
You were
away.
the Swedish ski jumper or the Nordic.
No,
one?
I'm the person in the lodge with the hot toddy.
No, it's funny because he wanted his goal as a kid was to go to the Olympics. It wasn't in ski jumping. He just wanted to pick the sport that he had the most likely.
This is like your life story.
Yeah.
Like, what can I pick at? There's like the least amount of successful people so that I could rise to the top the quickest. That's the story.
That's right.
Yeah.
What a great story. So that's what I had. The other.
I mean, do you recommend people see it?
Yeah.
Do you think people would like it?
Yes, I think people would.
I
like
would
a
love for
heartwarming
listeners.
story.
I would love for listeners to.
Yeah, if you're looking for a heartwarming story, this is the movie to do it. If you want to change things up,
A heartwarming, slow, monotonous story. But
I'd rather see that over Foxcatcher. I'd see it again over Foxcatcher.
I don't know. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's and
Both
again,
weren't
worst to
great.
first.
Yeah,
I had to go.
So I would say, but I would love for people that are actually listening to go out, watch this. Was it free?
It is available for rental on Amazon.
Okay.
So maybe one of our listeners
does that mean?
will be lucky to get it if they
As
so
a
choose
free
as
movie.
a free movie rental for the contest we had.
Oh yeah.
We'll find out
So
later.
as a side note, though, if anyone does go out and watch this movie, I would love to get feedback.
Well, yeah, tag us in
yeah.
anything. And if you watch any movie, do that watching thing on Facebook or whatever it is and tag us in it. We're
wanna know
curious.
what
We want to know
people
what
think.
people are watching and
Yeah.
what they think about movies. We try to do it too,
Yeah.
so look for ours.
Because I had, as a side note, my friend Kelly, after last week I talked about the freebie, then she was like, oh, that wasn't so good. The one that I was really hyping. I think it was just last week. So
Yeah. Oh, the freebie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying the freebie. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought you were saying the freebie as in the free one.
No.
Yeah.
So I just, it's interesting perspectives. Like one that I thought people would enjoy just because it was a little different was not as favored. So.
Good. Well, before we head to our break, I want to thank all our listeners who support the show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing it is easy. Just go to our website, alternateendingpod.com. That's alternateendingpod.com. Click on our Amazon banner and seamlessly go to our purchases. Or just go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since our last show, here are some of the things people have purchased. Couple of books, Carrie. Have you heard of the Pickles series? I'm not familiar with the series, but we had 3 books of...
Is that children's
Pickles?
books?
I think it's about a dog named Pickles.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm
No.
not familiar. We had some musical. We must have a troubadour listener or something like that. We had some guitar equipment purchased, a guitar strap, a capo. Do you call it a capo
capo.
or a capo?
It's a capo.
We had a tuner purchase for either guitar, bass, or violin. So
We have a highly musical following here. That's
and then
nice.
wait, synthetic vinyl powder gloves. This concerns me.
That's that
Oh,
was
a
my
book.
order.
Someone
That was
must be
my
going to Hawaii. We have the ultimate Kauai guidebook, Kauai Revealed.
awesome.
Yeah. I hope this listener takes me with them. We also have some apparel, some T-shirts purchased, a Kanye West shirt, as well as
Kanye
Michael
West,
Kors
that
24
one?
karat
Okay.
perfume. You've been looking for a new perfume. You might
I
want
have.
to check this Michael Kors 24 karat brilliant
Okay.
gold. And then a bunch of video games.
Huh.
Yeah. Destiny, Taking the King, some sort of Disney one. Halo Part 5. Are you into the Halo in Halo
Look at
video
me.
games?
Do you think I'm really into Halo?
Yeah.
Do you look at, what
A
are
couple
you
other
asking me
Xbox games. Well, I just really appreciate all the purchases. Thanks, guys. Keep them coming. They really help support the show. So we'll head to the break, and when we get back, our top 5 low-budget movies. And welcome back to Alternate Ending. We're talking about our top 5 low-budget movies. Carrie, how do you define low budget?
$5 or less.
$5 or less.
No,
Okay.
so I guess I didn't actually have a definition going into it until I started. So I started thinking about all the movies that I thought seemed really cheap, like that they would be cheap. And then I look into some of their budgets and realize it was way more than I would have ever expected. So at the end of the day, once I actually got down to the 5, I think it ended up being $5 million or less.
$5 million or less? I feel like that's a reasonable dollar amount.
But it got a higher threshold for me if you were extra cheap.
Oh, so you gave it extra bonus points.
If it was extra.
So
low
if
budget.
all things being equal, if the movie was the same to you, like score-wise in your mind, it got an extra bump for being cheaper.
Right.
That's fair. I think that's a very reasonable approach. And actually, $5 million was the number I wanted to start with. And then I just wanted to push myself a
up
little
it, did
harder.
you?
No, I went
Oh, you
down.
went down.
I went to $1 million.
Oh,
no,
man.
there's no right or wrong. I
So
really
know that
wanted
now that
to.
you said that, you've cut out one of the movies that I thought would match as our number 1.
Oh, so as a result, how many do you have under $1 million that you think could line up?
1, 2, 2.
You think that we'll have 2 line up?
No. I only
Okay.
have 2 under $1 million.
Okay. Do you think that there's any chance that those 2 are on my list?
One of them is on your list for sure.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I feel challenge accepted. Let's go for it.
So
Number 5.
Number 5 for me is Paranormal Activity.
That is on my list.
As
well
5?
Done. No, it's number 3.
Number 3.
Nice job.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if you chose this as another one. This was another part of my criteria is this whole idea of what do you call that type of movie that
Found footage.
Found footage. That's exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do a whole bunch of found footage movies because that's super cheap to carry around a camera.
That's so funny. So I had it between this and I don't want to spoil if you have.
I don't have
something
Blair
else.
Witch on mine.
Okay, so it was between this and Blair Witch for me.
That's what I did.
And I liked this movie better.
I did too.
So that was I had actually the same philosophy.
I saw Blair Witch in theaters and I remember being creeped out and it was very what's the first in market, I hadn't seen anything like that before, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then when Paranormal Activity came out in 2007,
it was novel.
$15,000.
$15,000.
That's crazy cheap.
Yes.
Again, I go to are you paying people? But anyway.
So I have some more on that. Go for it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I don't have more on that. So that's good. But this one was a better found footage for me than Blair Witch. So that's why I chose it as my number 5. Written, directed by Oren Peli?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Tomato. Yeah.
So you can help me out here on the synopsis, but it's a young couple moves into a starter home, and they start to sense weird presences around them or whatever.
Weird stuff starts happening.
It starts happening. So then he sets up a video camera.
He's like a videographer or something, if I remember, right? He does
stuff,
weddings or something. Yeah.
So he sets it up, and then it's what ensues after that, what they start to see on camera, the experiences, whatever. This super creeped me out, and it was a 6.3 rated on IMDb. It really creeped me out. Hard to sleep at night kind of thing afterwards. And I think they did it in a really good way. I think of the found footage, this was one of the better movies.
Yes, Carrie's right. Cost $15,000 to make, raked in over $100 million at the box office. So pretty amazing.
It's awesome.
The house, the creepy house that you're talking about, is actually the director's house. Oren Peli's house.
Interesting.
And somehow it took him 6 years to make this movie. So in order to kind of raise it, he ended up shooting it in about 10 days. So it was very quickly shot. This is the movies. The reason why I went at $1 million was I wanted to pick movies that, man, I could have done that. Why didn't I think of this? For this amount of money, we could have just put it all on my credit card.
I could do that right now.
Yeah, I could
I don't
record
think you have
this.
that much line, but yeah.
Yeah. That's true. My credit limit is not quite there. Somehow he got a hold of Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg helped him change the ending a little bit. I guess he had a different ending in mind, and Steven Spielberg watched it and had to stop watching it halfway through the film on his home screener because he was actually really creeped out by the whole experience. And then he had to finish watching the movie in the daylight and then recommended a couple notes to Oren.
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah, he figured Spiely would have a thicker.
You guys
thicker
are on
skin.
that kind of.
Yeah, we're on that kind of term.
Okay.
You were asking about how much the people were paid. Actors were only paid $500. The main actors were only paid $500.
So what if they took that thing where they got a percentage? Did they do that?
They did not do that.
No.
But after the success of the film, they did go back to Oren, and Oren renegotiated some things.
Nice.
And I mean,
and she was in the next. I wonder. Here's my question: What did she negotiate for Paranormal Activity?
You have to be careful with that kind of stuff because you might over negotiate, and they say, you know what, we'll just write you out.
Right.
We'll figure out a different way. But I'm sure she's doing just fine. The guy has not been, I don't think, in anything else. For I don't want to spoil the movie, but for obvious reasons. But yeah, it made a ton.
That's not a spoiler at all.
That's not a spoiler at all. The most you talk about ROI. This is the number 2 ROI movie of all time.
Wow, what's number 1?
First most profitable is the aforementioned Blair Witch, which cost $22,000, made $240 million. Because that was
Paramount.
the first. It was first of its. First of its kind.
All right.
And good number 5. Good number 3 for me.
Your number 5 is going to take one of my number somethings.
I don't think so. I don't think you've seen this one. Actually, right before we started, Kellen Rogenbach had written in his picks, and he guessed a couple of mine. And he guessed one of mine, and it is in fact Primer. Primer is my number 5.
Is it about paint?
No, it is not about. It's not about paint. 2004, Primer, hour 17 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.0. Rotten Tomatoes 71%. Made for $7,000.
Is it another found footage movie?
No, not found footage.
How do you do it for that cheap?
Oh wait, is it found? No, it's not found footage. I don't know. 90% of the budget was spent for just the film. So everybody was just doing it as favors for writer, director, and actor Shane Carruth. It's about 4 friends, fledgling entrepreneurs, knowing that there's something bigger and more innovative than their era checking devices they built. They wrestle over a new invention. I don't want to go into details about it, but it has, it creates some interesting scenarios for these 3 friends. But yeah, it's a great movie, low budget. I recommend people see it. Shane Carruth hasn't done a lot since that's worthy, I guess, of going out to see, but this one really is good, and that's why it makes number 5 for me. Again, that's $7,000. I haven't seen anything that's cheaper that's as good. I went for ROI for most of mine as well too. So.
All right. I missed that one. 5. I hadn't seen it, so maybe I would have included it.
Might be coming as a rec to you later.
Excellent. My number 4 is one that is definitely on your list, 100% certain. Like for $1 million.
For $1 million, are we doing this bet right now?
For $1 million, how much do you have in your checking account?
I only have $90.
You have $90. So let's for $90.
I don't want to risk it. I'm going out to Colorado Springs. I need to buy some underwear.
Yeah, you do actually. Let's make
Mine
it 40.
Have holes in them.
Yeah, let's make it 40.
Half of my money.
How much is your underwear?
For $40. I feel like I've lost all money bets that we've ever made. Okay, for $40. All right.
Let's call it 30 because I want you to really splurge.
I don't think. Okay, I'm willing to do this.
All right.
Yes.
For 30, the movie Once.
Not on my list.
What?
$40, Mitcha!
How did you? I said 30. I said 30. Back up the tape. I said 30.
That's a good percentage.
So why did you go with high-end underwear?
Nah, I'm 30%. I'm 30% richer.
Oh my gosh.
Not on my list. Because you know why?
Because you thought I would do it?
No, because I've talked about it a few times already before. So I do. It's on my honorable mentions, but
now you don't have to mention it. I'll talk about it.
All right, go for it.
Man. Anyway, you know what? This brings down my right ratio too. There's so many losses right now. So Once, like Rob said, he has talked about it before, but I didn't think it could be missed. 2007, made for $150,000. Written, directed by John Carney, starring Glenn Hansgard and Marketa Erglova. This was a movie that Rob and I watched like the minute we met. Like we went out, like. Remember watching this when we were in Colorado? We watched it. At the time, the way that the shooting of it was, I was like, is this a documentary? It was a different style than I was used to. So I thought we
had just started dating too, and that movie was just very sweet. And yeah,
you were really into it, and it was a very cute movie. 2 musicians strike up a friendship over a passion for music. He's a guitar player. She's a pianist. And 7.9 on IMDb, on a side note, really well received by just about everybody. But it is shot in a very sort of documentary style. Like you feel like you're just sort of following their life. It's grainy. Yeah. But it follows like the loss of previous relationships and the budding relationship that they have. Really good little indie flick.
Oscar winner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Best original song.
And then they were in a band together.
Yeah.
They're not together anymore. Maybe you talked about that.
Spoiler
in real life. But they were together during the movie, which made it all the more cuter.
Yeah.
During the movie. She has 2 kids now.
Oh.
Not with a spouse, with a partner.
You've done some research.
It means there's still a chance for him because they're not really committed.
No, great movie. As I mentioned, it's on my honorable mentions too. So
good movie, and one that I would recommend that if you haven't seen and if you're into sort of that indie vibe, indie flick type movie, that you should go out and check out.
Good list so far.
Thanks.
Good list. I'm really impressed.
I really wanted my fandom back.
We basically have 2 matching because that one technically would normally have matched. That's good stuff.
Could be all downhill from here.
It's going to be downhill for me, I think. I'm not confident about this, to be honest. I'm not. This is my least confident top 5 that I've done, where I just don't feel.
Would it be on mine? Is it something I've seen?
Judge. No, not just this next one.
Oh, okay.
Just this list.
Just the rest.
I just seeing what the listeners put out there. I feel like there'll be some revolt against Team Rob.
I want that so much.
I know you do.
I know.
And that's why so far I confirmed that you've actually seen the movies that you're talking about. I was thinking maybe you'd play to the audience a little bit.
I would never do that.
Number 4 for me, Cube, 1997's
Never seen
Cube.
that. No.
Never heard of it?
No. I mean, I think I've heard of it.
I'm sure you've heard of the director. I'll get to that in a minute. Hour 42 minutes. The movie Cube. IMDb gives it a 7.3. Rotten Tomatoes 62%. It was made for 365,000 Canadian dollars.
So that makes it
I don't know what that
even
means.
more expensive, right? Because they're
less?
in like rupees. Or something.
They're Canadian dollars. Not rupees.
It's the one with the...
they're Canadian dollars.
There's like the maple leaf, you know?
They're called Canadian dollars.
Oh, okay. Anytime I don't know a
Canadian.
currency, I just use rupee.
Canadian dollars. No, I
Okay.
think that actually makes it less in the U.S. So it's
Right.
I don't
It's
know.
more expensive there. Yeah. So it's cheaper here. Right. What?
Written and directed by Vincenzo Natali, who also directed Splice.
Oh, so it was a really good
This
movie.
was a big reason why I was into wanting to see Splice, because I like genetics and stuff, and then
right.
this guy, right? So I saw Cube I saw it when it came out straight. It wasn't straight to video. It was in theaters for a bit, but this was during my Blockbuster working times. It's about 6 complete strangers. Picture this. Widely varying personality types. You have an aggressive person, a calm person, other characteristics. They're involuntarily placed in an endless kind of maze containing deadly traps.
Ooh, I do like that kind
Right?
of thing. Yeah.
So you're put in scenarios
You've
where
talked
you
about
don't.
this. Did Becky see this? My sister? Did she
I don't
see
think
this?
she would have seen
No.
this.
I feel like you've talked about this
So
before.
this is a lot like
I
a
do
new
like
movie and
Deadly
novel
Traps.
that came out was like Maze Runner,
Or,
where all these people are brought together in a, or
yeah.
Lord of the Flies,
like
kind of
Divergent-y type.
Divergent,
Like, yeah.
you know, those type of things. But this is the reason why it was made for such an it was shot in 20 days. They used one set because the idea is they are trapped in this
One
series
cube.
of cubes. No, it's a series of cubes, but the way you get away with it is you just change
Just
the
have one cube.
You go
Yeah.
in when you go into the next cube, you're actually still going into the original
pretty
cube.
tricky, yeah.
So it's one set piece
Okay.
used, and then there's a series of booby traps and stuff like that, and there's math that's involved to try to crack the code. Then it's more Lord of the Flies because people's personalities take over, and you're reduced down to your human nature kind of a
Right,
thing.
right.
So I really enjoyed it.
Would I like it? You think? I bet I would.
I think you
I'd
would like
this.
it. The special effects, again, for the money, like it's probably
Not great.
It doesn't hold up over this amount
What
of
year
time.
was it again? Did you say?
1997. So,
So it's older. A
so
little
there
bit
are some
too.
special effects, but the human nature element is still there, which is interesting to examine. And they've made several sequels to cash in, which I feel bums me out. But still, nonetheless, decent movie.
Did they call it Cubed?
They
Like if it was
Cube. I think they did that for the third one.
Did they
I
really?
think they did something ridiculous like that. I've seen them
That's
all because I
awesome.
kept hoping it would get better, but no, the original is really where it's at. So
Okay,
Cube. I
okay.
recommend people checking it out if they haven't, for a low budget.
All right. The next one won't meet your criteria because it is $3 million that it cost.
So you're going to your number 3, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
I went with the movie Buried.
Really? With Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
You like that?
Yeah.
When did you see? You must have saw. Did you
I
watch
saw
that
it
by
with you.
yourself?
I watched it with you. I definitely did. I've never watched a movie without you, really. So,
I remember watching
you
that
were
with
there.
you.
You were definitely there.
Was I asleep? Because it was boring.
What?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't
No,
boring.
this isn't factual at all.
Okay, that's not true. It's not too
Let's
boring.
rein it in.
Okay, rein it in.
So the Buried 2010 movie. Again, I went through this whole list, thought of ones that I thought this has to be cheap. He's in a box for an entire movie.
Do you feel like that was all Ryan Reynolds' salary? Because what else was there?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
So when I Googled it, I was like, oh, I wonder Buried. What could that have been? $3 million. I did that for a couple other movies too. Totally blown away. So I looked up like Phone Booth or what was
Okay,
that one
yeah.
with Colin Firth?
We get this mixed up. Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
But yeah, we get
expensive. Very expensive. And that took place in a phone booth for the entire movie. So I couldn't choose that. It was like $8 million. It was something expensive. So anyway, Buried stars Ryan Reynolds and written by Chris Sparling, who did ATM, another low budget ATM movie. Was also good.
I actually like ATM a lot.
Also good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not as good as Buried to me. And it was more expensive.
Really?
It was more expensive.
So, yes, Buried was more polished than ATM, but I liked ATM.
Yeah, it was pretty good for like a low budget,
Yeah, that was a
one
thriller.
scene
Yeah,
flick. Yeah. So it stars Ryan Reynolds. Synopsis is basically Ryan Reynolds stars a U.S. truck driver working in Iraq. While he's in Iraq, a group of Iraqis, you don't really know exactly what happens, but he basically is ambushed and he wakes up to find that he's been buried alive in a coffin. Somewhere within you don't know where. I mean, you know that he's kind of like in a desert. He's covered in sand, but all he's left with is a lighter, and he finds a cell phone on him, which they don't know that he has, but he finds a cell phone on him. So it's a movie based around a very claustrophobic movie at that, based around how can somebody who has no sense of where they are, how can he be found?
I remember, yeah.
And his phone's probably dying. It's like the low
experimenting
charge.
with some.
He didn't have a booster at the time. It was 2010.
They were experimenting with some interesting kind of camera placement within that coffin that he's kind of in.
It was $3 million. Did I say that?
Yeah, no, you did.
So, like you said, all Ryan Reynolds. It was good for a whole movie to be shot.
The ending
in a box
was interesting. I remember that. That now that jumps out to me is the ending.
Yeah,
that was good.
So recommend people see it. Wouldn't you?
If it's free, I would only see it if it's free. I wouldn't pay money to see it. Like I'd stream it, but if it's available for free, but I wouldn't.
For the budget.
I think it is streaming, maybe even.
Yeah. So
or maybe I'm confusing that with Captive. Don't see The Captive.
Don't see The Captive.
Yeah.
See Buried over the Captive.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's my number 3.
So I'm on my number 2 because we skipped my number 3. This is where the anxiety builds because I don't feel good about it. I just don't feel good about it.
Yeah,
I don't feel good about my next 2. But this is honest. This is honesty.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, Safety Not Guaranteed. 2012 movie.
Never heard of that either.
I think we saw it together.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
It's probably one of the first Mark Duplass movies that we saw.
Yep.
So Hour 26, IMDb gives it a 7.0, Rotten Tomatoes 90%, shot for $750,000, directed by Colin Trevorrow. If you don't know that name, you probably, or at the time, you do now. After this movie, he directed Jurassic World, which we really enjoyed. So he went from a $750,000 budget movie to
like a $80 billion. Yeah.
And then you know what he's doing next? Star Wars Episode 9.
Okay.
So obviously people saw something in this movie.
People still watch Episode 9.
Did I say Star Wars or Star Trek?
You said Star Wars.
Okay, good. That's what I was. I almost made a huge faux pas. In my mind, I said Star Trek. And
you looked really panicked.
Did I? There are a lot of people who take that stuff really seriously.
Yeah, I'm not one of them.
Just be careful.
Yeah. Okay.
Stars Aubrey Plaza, Mark Duplass of League fame, Aubrey Plaza from The Office.
Creep, also in The Creep.
Mark Duplass from The Creep, yes. And Jake Johnson from New Girl. And for me, this was a coming out party for Mark Duplass and Jake Johnson, who I had not seen a lot of. And I really love them. It's about 3 magazine employees head out on an assignment to interview a guy who places an ad in the classifieds seeking a companion for time travel. So
I like time travel.
Yeah, so this magazine group, they're looking for new funny stories to write, and they come across this classified ad that says, hey, come join me if you're interested. I'm going to be going on a time travel. So they go out to try to meet this guy and kind of infiltrate him and see what he's about. And this is actually based on somewhat on a true story of finding this classified ad and kind of pursuing this. It was shot in 4 weeks. It's a very cute comedy. It's just really fun.
Say the name again?
The Safety Not Guaranteed.
Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah.
So a must see.
I think so.
Okay.
And if you like Jake Johnson from New Girl, if you like Mark Duplass, and I'm not a big Aubrey Plaza fan, but she doesn't ruin the movie for me, so I guess that says something. But yeah, 2012, Safety Not Guaranteed. Definitely recommend it. That's my number 2. Okay. Number 2 for you.
Number 2 for me was made right on the cusp of my budget threshold.
Ooh. Right on the cusp, meaning over?
No, it was like $1 under.
I thought it was one of those things where I say, hey, it costs like $40, and really that means $49.99.
Yeah, no. This is exactly $499 million. 4.9.
$499 million.
It was under $5 million.
It was under it's under half a billion.
It was My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
One of my faves. So again, I had a couple others
expensive.
So you had some big actors in there too. So you had Nia Vardalos. She probably wasn't, because she wrote and directed the movie, actually, which I didn't realize.
She directed too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or no, I'm sorry. She wrote, and then it was directed by Joel Zwick.
Okay, Zwick, sure.
And then also starred John Corbett, who I just, like that, there was so many things in that movie. Like, so many of the characters just made it for me and different, like, touched on different levels. Like, he was like, we all want to marry John Corbett. Like, he's so, whatever.
Just like whatever.
Just
yeah,
whatever. He's cute. He's funny. He's
I'm not that guy.
No, you're not.
I'm not that whatever guy.
You're not. I'm very stressed around you. But
sorry.
Yeah, I know. You're very stressful. But John Corbett isn't. And that's why we watched that movie, to feel like, hey, we could all be Nia Vardalos. And I
feel like, even despite the hair, like
he has hair.
Well, he's got the long, like, curly
Oh, that's
hair, like,
fine. That's
right? It's
fine.
fine. That's what I'm saying. It's like, he can get away with that hairdo.
He can get away with anything he wants because he's so sweet and he's so mellow.
I've been barking up the wrong alley here.
You got to grow your hair out.
Got to grow my hair out and just chill out.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I think there could be some other things to help out with that too. Some psychotropics.
Yeah,
perhaps.
something.
Chill out.
But he was awesome. Her family is awesome. Everything about that movie is awesome. So it didn't get as high as a rating as I thought, 6.6 on IMDb, but it's a young Greek woman who's a little bit awkward through life, like a little bit still trying to kind of figure out her way, coming in to her own through her own family, her own culture, and what that presents to the rest of the world and how that sort of integrates with the rest of the world, which probably everybody can identify with on some level. And it's a story about her sort of coming into her own, meeting this super cute guy who is drawn to her, and she's so surprised by this, which I think everybody, again, at some point in their life can identify, like, what, me? Like, why me? And her family, and them coming to terms with the fact that he's a non-Greek man and all that entails. Excellent movie. Again, $5 million. Made my list. Awesome movie.
I think it's a good movie, so it deserves. It just didn't meet my budget threshold. It might have probably had an honorable mention had it met that. But what's your number one? We can jump to yours because I did Paranormal Activity.
Was number what for you?
Number 3. So we skipped my.
So did you already do 2?
I'm at number 1 now. So
you are?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it. Yeah, just jump right in.
My number 2 also, I thought for sure.
Wait, you're at number 2 or number 1?
1. Sorry.
Yeah.
My number 1 for sure would have been on your list.
All right, let's see.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Because of the budget threshold thing, but it would have otherwise.
Okay,
It's Garden State.
Yeah, that's true. So what I did is I had a honorable mention. I'm not going to go over the ones that were over my budget. I'm only keeping the ones that are under. But honorable Garden State would have been on my list had I gone up to $5 million.
Right,
Correct.
right, and it's only $2.5 million, so it's like 50% off.
Yep.
So
it's a deal, really.
It's really a deal, which I love. Zach Braff wrote and directed this movie. Also directed a movie which is Wish I Was Here, which Rob and I actually went to see like a private scring of a few years ago.
Like a premiere, Chicago premiere. Yeah.
He was there, did like an interview thing. It was not as good as Garden State.
Was not.
Did it actually go into theaters ever?
Yeah, where is it now?
It never came out.
Yeah.
I think it stayed, which was sad. Because, I mean, it was fine. It just wasn't it didn't live up to Garden State. But if you haven't seen Garden State, it stars Zach Braff from Scrubs, Peter Skarsgård, Natalie Portman, who you might know from like Star Wars and other Black Swan, other very large
good stuff. No.
I just pulled that out of nowhere. And Ian Holm. It stars all of these people. Zach Braff is the main character, who is a sort of like a guy going through like a quarter life crisis, I would call it. Like he struggled, like left his hometown, went away, and then he was doing sort of like. Was he a writer?
Well, no, he's an actor. He's trying to make it in Hollywood. The problem, and he had some minor success, like very minor success. But like his dad was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and started prescribing him.
Oh, that's right.
Stuff to like mellow him out,
like really early on as a kid.
Early on, and he just he doesn't have like a flavor of life. He's just
right. So thus, introduces, like, he comes back 10 years later after there's a death in his family, and it's a story about the reconnection with his roots and sort of a love story that unfolds with sort of a quirky girl that he encounters who brings out everything that he was sort of missing in that time. That, number one, he was sort of disconnected, I guess, with people in relationships and life. And it's a really great life story, and it was an excellent movie. 7.6 on IMDb.
I'm glad you like it, because I think I turned you on to it and not made you watch it, but I said, hey, this is a movie that's special to me.
Zach Braff was awesome in it. He was and everybody was. It was if you haven't seen this movie, I would recommend it to everybody.
Now go check it out.
Yeah.
Number 1 for me, and this is where I feel like I'm going to let so many people down. I feel like people are waiting for a particular movie right now.
Is it Open Water?
No, it's not Open Water. Wait, are you thinking that's what I have as my number 1?
I mean, I'm just trying to guess what was under.
No, I'm saying there's a movie in particular that probably belongs here.
Oh, okay.
That I will confess. This is my confession. Are you guys ready? Is everybody sitting down? Probably.
This is that thing from earlier that was weird that you did.
Yeah. All right. So I know everybody's expecting me to say Clerks.
Have you seen Clerks?
I've never seen Clerks.
I know. That's why I'm wrecking it to you later.
Oh my gosh! Thank you. I don't know how I've gone this long. I feel
I
so
don't know
shameful.
either. I feel shameful
I feel
for
so
you.
shameful.
Your
How
face
can
is
I have-
red. Your
how can
face
I have a
I feel
movie-
red for you.
How can I have a film review podcast and not have
You're a
seen...
sham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just all a charade.
What is it? Is it Blair Witch?
No.
Is it-
Number
I'm
one
just
for me.
joking.
I'm still proud of the movies I've seen. This is, again,
Yeah.
I'm honest with my list. Like, this is where I would put this, is number one for me. Again, return on investment, that whole deal.
Okay.
Brick. 2005's Brick. Hour 40 minutes. IMDb 7.4. Rotten Tomatoes 80%. Made for $475,000. Made for $500,000. I have never seen anything as stylish or as polished, made for as little as this was made. I think I made you watch it. I think...
I was just going to look it up because I was like, I've never heard of this movie.
So it stars
Okay.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Okay.
Luke Haas, who you may not remember, and Emily de Ravine. But more importantly, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt, this is what turned me on to him, as being something more than just that kid from Third Rock from the Sun. But written and directed by Rian Johnson. Visionary director. I think he's probably one of my top up-and-coming directors, which we should probably do an episode on that sometime. He directed Brothers Bloom and Looper. And I mentioned...
Oh, okay. I've seen both of those.
Oh, yes. Colin Trevorrow doing Star Trek Episode 8. Ryan is actually doing Star Wars... Oh, sorry. Did I do it? Star Wars Episode 8, Colin Trevorrow. Rian Johnson is directing Star Wars Episode 9. So again,
Okay.
for my top two, these directors are now on to bigger and better things, given more responsibility. This movie is Brick. It's about a teenage loner, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, pushes his way through into an underworld of high school crime ring to investigate the disappearance of his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
So it's basically a film noir. Imagine like detective, kind of like black and white type of movie, but it's not black and white, it's in color, but that takes place in high school. So it's 10 Things I Hate About You meets like a film noir movie.
Okay.
Like
I feel like
and they
I wouldn't like this movie.
They talk in that same type of that same type of speak that you had in the 20s. But
Like,
it's in
what
modern
What
day.
does that sound like?
Gumshoe. Like they use words and they use like these. I don't know.
I'll
It's
need
been
an
a while.
example.
Have you seen this? Did I make you watch this
No.
movie?
No.
You probably fell asleep.
No, I don't think I looked it up. I don't recognize any of the pictures.
Really? Well, maybe
No.
Maybe I should write this.
And
to
I
you.
remember all Lucas Haas movies.
Luke Haas.
Yeah. he was in my Harrison Ford movie. He was in
Sure. He was a cute kid.
with the Amish people.
Yeah, he was a cute little Amish
What was
kid.
that?
I'm blanking on
The
it.
Amish people.
Starts with an R, maybe.
No, it's not R.
Blanking on it. Look it up.
All right.
But no, Brick. I highly recommend people see it. Again, does it stand up with big budget movies? Maybe not, but for $500,000, I've never seen anything more stylish. This was a passion project for Rian Johnson. The way it was written was clever. I really enjoyed Brick. I'll go through some of my honorable mentions really quick. These were all under $1 million. Roger Dodger. Again, I have Clerks. I'm so sorry, guys. I will watch Clerks. Blair Witch once. Night of the Living Dead was made for
Did
under
you
$1
have
million.
Memento?
I have Memento as an
It's a
honorable
little
mention.
expensive, and so is Little Miss Sunshine.
I have Memento as my over budget honorable mention.
So is Open, on a quick side note, is Open Water the one with the nude scene that we watched with my parents?
Yes, very uncomfortable. We'll have to do top
That was
five
cheap.
uncomfortable.
That was cheap, though.
But
I
it didn't
thought
make my
about it.
honorable
It wasn't
mention.
a good movie, but it was it was awkward. Yeah.
I won't go through any more, except I will say, we'll get to this in the rec section. Blue Ruin was made for under $1 million. So we'll see. I noticed
Should
it
have been
didn't make your
Witness.
top. Witness. Sorry, I thought it was
is
with
the
an R.
Amish film.
Well, let's go to our audience. A lot of folks wrote in, so I went with their first pick. Some people wrote multiple picks, so I just kind of took their top pick. Clerks, a lot of people wrote in for Clerks, as I said. John Kozitzki, Andrew Jones, Sarah Pearl, Michael Laurel Hose, John Williamson wrote in for Clerks. Mike Garrigan had Rocky. Joy V. Hill had Napoleon Dynamite. Amanda V. Hill had My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah.
Jason Stewart hit home with Paranormal Activity on both of our
Okay.
lists. Phil LaRucca had Office Space. And
How much was
Locom.
Office Space though? That was more expensive
Brick.
than $5 million.
I didn't look up Office Space. It must have been more because
It
it
was
did
more,
not
yeah.
show up on any of my lists. But we also had kind of our top vote getters. We had 2 votes for Blair Witch, Garden State, Little Shop of Horrors, which I didn't think about.
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite,
Oh
King's
wait,
Speech.
Garden State was on there. Who did that?
A lot of people voted for it. It
Oh,
got,
okay.
Or 2 people voted for it. It
Oh,
got
okay,
2
nice,
votes.
nice.
King's Speech, which I thought would have
It
been
could
more
be
expensive.
more expensive, but it could still be considered low budget. I can
And
see
then
that.
Rocky had 2 votes as well too. Memento had 3 votes.
Love
and
Memento.
by far and away, most
That was like
votes,
seven. That was almost
Clerks.
$8 million. Was Memento? Because I remember.
I think it was 5.
I think it was like 7.5.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah.
But it was more than the threshold, so I would have put it on there otherwise.
Well, earlier this week, we also had a contest where we were going to select anybody who wrote in on our site to share what their top low-budget movie was. We were going to select somebody.
Do I have to pick a number?
No, you know what? I didn't know how to figure that out in Excel, so I'm just going to do a random between, which is a function. So if someone knows Excel better than I do on how to assign
you could just
random.
have me pick a number.
No, well, I feel like
I'll
this
just
is
say, because
more
I have
that's
a
not
number
fair.
and I had a thing to go with it.
All right, so I have people ordered 1 through 12. Can you
Okay.
pick a number between 1 and 12?
So what I was going to say was lucky number 11.
Oh, gosh.
It's like a movie podcast, right?
It is a
So I was
movie.
going to try and be like,
So number
that's
7.
a movie. That's a movie. that
I
you should
have
never
I
see.
have assigned no it's not that bad.
Is it that bad?
It's
Okay.
I mean it's below average. That would be Amanda V. Hill. Congratulations. We will be getting in touch with you and getting you out a few free movie rental on Amazon. So look forward to hearing what you're going to see, and be sure that in the future too you tag us again in movies that you're going to see too. Should we go to a break or continue forward to our rec section?
It's your call.
Let's go. Let's keep
Let's
cruising.
just push through. My wine's a little low.
Oh,
But,
well, let's break.
I can make it last.
Yeah.
I can't, actually.
Okay,
Let's
we're
break.
breaking. All right, we'll
break.
catch you guys back after a little bit of a wine refill. Giving in, we raise our hands in defeat. And welcome back to our final segment, an alternate ending. Still going through our crackers, so if you hear Carrie crunching in the background, we were kind of hungry. We had a great dinner, a nice July 4th dinner provided by your parents, but the wine wasn't doing it for me. My belly needed a little something.
Crackers was a good idea.
But I've got in the roof of my mouth and in my teeth.
Right.
So I feel like I'll be making some noises like that. So
It's good. So
that's
I'm
just what
glad
I'll do.
we took a break for what will take 5 more minutes for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
for
that was
some crackers.
kind of a silly break, but worth it. I promise you. As we go through
They're
our
really
recs.
good crackers. Yeah.
Not good crackers, good movies.
Oh,
good
right.
movies.
Sorry. Right.
I wrecked you, Blue Ruin, and you wrecked me, courtesy of Kellen Rogenbach, 11:14.
I think you should go first.
I should go first. This
Yeah.
is wow. We're breaking new ground.
Breaking all kind of rules. Yeah.
11:14, as in the number, the time, if you will. 2003 movie, hour 26 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.2. Rotten Tomatoes, 92%. So this is pretty well liked by viewers as well as critics. Written and directed by Greg Marks, who hasn't done a whole lot since, but just starring a great cast of Henry Thomas, Colin Hanks, the aforementioned Ben Foster, Rachel Lee Cook, who I
know.
have a thing for the mousy girls, as you call them. I don't know why they're called. You call them mousy.
They are mousy.
They're
It's
not
like
mousy. Rachel Lee Cook, very
like,
attractive young lady, now middle-aged
in a mousy
lady.
way, yeah.
In a mousy way.
Middle-aged. What do you mean? How old is she?
She's probably old. Yeah, she's older than us, 35, 36.
Oh, man, she's definitely middle-aged. What?
That's not middle-aged?
No.
Oh, my definition of
50.
middle-aged is weird. Oh, 50 is middle-aged?
Yeah.
All right, I don't know if I agree with that. Hillary Swank, I guess that's
With
in
a
the middle
proper
of your
diet.
life. Yeah.
Less crackers, probably.
Less crackers, more wine.
Yeah.
Hillary Swank, Patrick Swayze, Jason Segel. I'd forgotten that actually all these people were in this movie.
Yeah.
Basically, what this movie is a series of vignettes, a la Crash, if you will.
Or like a la Love Actually.
Yes.
Okay.
But all happening around this kind of sliding doors event that occurs. Everything happens at 11:14. Kind of everything culminates to this time at 11:14, and
So they
all
all
of these
come
stories
together at that time?
All of these stories kind of you get pictures of the story from different vantage points. These different main characters, and it's a dark comedy. There are some funny moments, but
Is it
it's kind of
romantic
like,
comedy?
No romance
No,
at all.
there's no romance.
Dark comedy.
Dark,
As in
non-romantic comedy.
non-romantic. No, it's more of like I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's kind of funny because it's your sister falling down the stairs and you laughing.
Which is,
dark,
I mean,
dark
a
comedy.
terrible thing to laugh at.
Right, but you laugh.
I mean,
or me burning myself with a Roman candle.
Right.
Dark comedy. But that's more
funny.
slapstick.
That's
but no,
funny.
these are serious things that are occurring, but at the same time handled in such a way where it's a little comedic.
Okay.
Made for $6 million, so not quite, could have been maybe considered, it's definitely considered low budget. But yeah, I just thought it's a good movie. It's probably like middle of the road. If it's streaming, I'd recommend people watching it. I don't think I would pay money to go see it. I came across it, again, this was during my Blockbuster binge days where they would mail you out 5 movies at a time. College time, which this is why I got my degree in not film.
Right.
So I was just binge watching movies. But 11-14, great movie. If you come across it for free, do not recommend paying out for it. I think it's good because it's unique. It's funny but dark. Yeah, it's right up my alley. But yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to go see it.
Okay.
Blue Ruin for you.
So this had a lot of build up for me because you've been talking about it for many years. Do you know what year it came out?
I think 20. You should know this. You
I'm
researched
sorry.
it. 2013, 2012.
2013. Okay. I feel like you've been talking for a few years. And it was one of those movies that you were like, whenever we were in some sort of argument, you're like, well, you haven't seen Blue Ruin. I've been talking about Blue Ruin for a few years now, and you haven't seen that, Not
Made
listening.
for $1 million. So ROI.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
I was saying like it should have been your top low budget movie.
No.
And I was surprised
No,
to
it
not find it on your list.
There's many reasons it didn't fall into my list, but yeah, it's one of those things you always use with like, here's my interests, and is Blue Ruin.
So much like Brick was a coming out party for this new director who I'd never seen, Rian Johnson.
This is Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah, and this is his second movie.
Yeah, he didn't do a lot of other things. What else? What was the
Murder
other one?
Party was his other movie.
Is that the one that we saw with Niles?
No.
Oh, what was
also
that
Murder
one?
Something. Dinner in a movie. Dinner Murder. I don't know.
That was good with Niles.
Yeah,
we're
off track now.
Okay, sorry. So,
Murder Date? I don't know.
Murder by Numbers?
I'll find out for you.
I made that up. You look it up. So I'll talk about this movie that you made me watch. So I will say in the synopsis, the word that I'm using out is like vengeance, assassin, brutal fight. I feel like
don't ruin anything. I just want to throw that out there to not ruin anything.
I'm not going to ruin anything.
Okay,
I've just tried to like explain again in this theme that I have for all of these recs that you give me where there's like these buzzwords where it's pretty clear that I'm probably not going to like love this movie. Like vengeance movies, like Guns of Navarone that you gave me, or
Guns of Navarone.
What was that
Way of the Gun.
Way of
Guns
the
of
Gun.
Navarone, very different movie.
All these movies that you give me that are like gun bloody movies are not. That's like not my thing, man.
But do you see the talent in the director for being able to do and the acting?
Okay, so let me back it up, though.
Yeah.
So for Jeremy Saulnier, it stars Macon Blair, who you've probably never seen in anything, Devin Rattray, and Amy Hargraves, who she's been in a few things. Direction on this movie is the one sticking point for me that was really good. The direction was awesome of the movie. Like the way that it was cut, the way that it was filmed was really awesome. It's Macon Blair, who, what's his name in the movie? I'm blanking on it. There's not a lot of talking. Dwight. Oh, yeah.
Just came to me.
Dwight. I'm glad you came up with that. There's not a lot of... What?
Oh, no. I just want to make sure you don't give anything away.
I'm not going to give anything away. Right. So he lives a very quiet life.
You could say I think you could say he's
like
a vagrant. Yeah, he's a homeless guy.
He's indigent.
Indigent, yeah.
Man who goes out to carry out an act of vengeance. And again, vengeance, and he proves himself to be rather amateur at what he's doing.
It's not really his skill set.
It's not his skill set. So when you said Blue Ruin, I was picturing like some sort of like mountain movie. Like, I don't know why. I pictured this movie completely differently. I went in with the wrong perspective. I went in with the wrong state of mind. Wasn't prepared for this type of movie and wasn't prepared for like sort of what to come. It was fine. It was okay. I don't love, again, bloody gory isn't really my thing.
I don't know if there are some gory elements to the way things happen.
Gory elements.
Yeah.
It's like,
but there's also a little bit of comedy.
You mean like where it starts gory and like ends
right?
gory?
I mean, like there's some comedic undertones to lighten things up along the way. I remember you laughing at least at 2 or 3 moments in the movie where it's like, okay, that's pretty funny. Like, yeah,
again, it was fine. I wouldn't put this. You made this sound like this movie was awesome, and I don't call this movie awesome.
It's
this
awesome
movie's like a 3 for me out of 5.
I'm looking forward to this young director making movies with much bigger budget, and this is a Team Rob type of movie. And if we have Team Rob listeners,
was fine.
No one's written to me to tell me other than low.
You're trying to grab at things right now because of this crap that you had for your top 5, which was terrible.
No
Clerks.
Yeah.
I had My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I had
Never Live It Down.
I had all of these other really good movies.
So you didn't like it?
I had Garden State. It was fine.
Just
it
fine.
was one. It is not one that if I was going to go out to my friends and family and I was like, you got to see this movie, it would not be on my list.
All right. So what do you reckon me? Are you sticking to your guns and?
Yeah. Spoiler
no
from earlier. I based on all the feedback that we got from all the listeners and based on.
How did you know I hadn't seen Clerks? How'd you know that?
I just knew.
Yeah.
I could tell.
You know why?
Why?
What turned me off to it?
Is it pre-1980?
No, it's not.
Oh.
Black and white. That's what did it for me. I was black and white.
You're so judgy.
I don't want to see this.
Well, you have to see it now.
But apparently the dialogue, and I like Kevin Smith's movies, so not lately, but yes, most of them, like the earlier ones,
You have
pretty
to
good.
see it now, though. It's your duty.
Now I have to for the listeners.
And what do you have for me?
Also similar kind of situation, which just, we own this movie. We actually have it on Blu-ray.
Is it the one that I said in the last podcast that you were like, we own it?
No, it was during a Facebook exchange with Joy
I already
Vigil,
forgot.
where she recommended something, and you're like, "Oh, I haven't seen
The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element.
The
We
Fifth Element.
own The Fifth Element
again, and I go back to my response to that. You got to start unpacking. We've been here for a year. It's time to get a little sweat equity in.
Let these excuses stifle
Go
alternate
unpack.
ending anymore.
Go unpack some boxes.
In closing, just want to thank everybody. The music you've been listening to is again yet Convergence. Figuring out what to do on the music front. We might be using some more Convergence. Might come up with our own jingle or something like that. We'll see. Social media, you can find us on Facebook. Like us if you can. Twitter. Follow us there. Alternatingpod.com. We go over a lot of movies. You can kind of find some of the movies we've been discussing there. And definitely subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google Play. Best way to find us. And leave a review if you're doing it. Tune in for our next show where you'll be able to write in for free movie rental, where we'll be talking about, again, wait for it, Carrie listening, our top 5 big budget movies. We're going the opposite end of the spectrum.
Didn't we already do that?
No, we did low budget. Now we're doing big budget.
Okay.
Yeah. So top 5 big budget movies. We're targeting July 25th. So looking forward to chatting about those when we come back on that episode. Take care.